Oh, we're all at home. That's good. And I like to see all your smiling faces. We got a beautiful day outside. Let's enjoy it. If anybody needs prayer, there's the narthex box out there, and just fill out a little slip and put it in the box, and Elizabeth will pray over it for a week, and then it will go on to Silent Unity, where they'll pray over it for 30 days. Anybody can make an honorary donation to our church by putting a check or whatever in the little envelopes and putting it in the bag as we pass those around. If anybody would like to volunteer for special volunteer duties around here, there's also a thing out in the narthex where you can sign up, and we'll be glad to have you, by the way. Would everybody please stand for the affirmation of oneness? The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and we work together for the glory of God.
Good morning. Welcome. Woo, let's take a breath. I need a breath for a minute. We got everything working. We're a little short-handed this morning. If you'd like to lend a hand, we'd sure appreciate it. Everybody can't do everything all the time. It wears you out. So you need to take a break every once in a while. And even the people back here working the sound and everything else, as Bill knows, as I know, as Candy knows, as Pat knows, as everybody knows, because we all do something, you need a break every once in a while. So AJ's taking a break, so that just leaves us short-handed, especially if somebody's up here singing. So if you can turn buttons, push a button, look at a button, we can sure use you. We're gonna sing this song called Honey in the Rock. Well, hallelujah. We might sing a song called Honey in the Rock. I'll be right back. I gotta do all this. I'm glad that happened because there's a story I want to tell you. I've been going on this battle for over a year now about singing. I think I'm too old. My voice isn't good anymore. It's not like it used to be, of course. When you get singers, when they get to a certain age, they know it's time for them to quit solo singing and go to a chorus, to the choir. We don't have a choir. So, you know, it's just been on my mind. I stress. And I thought last night, because I didn't practice none the whole week, I thought, I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna stress. I'm gonna get up there and sing. If it comes out, it comes out. Don't. Y'all like it. Y'all say y'all like it anyway, whether you do or not. So voila. And WG has promised me that if I get up here and I start sounding not good anymore, he will let me know, and I trust in him. Well, thank you very much. I'm not begging for compliments. I'm just wanting to get to this story. This piece of equipment right here was given to me by my dear friend Linda almost 20 years ago. We used to go around and I had a show. This will key things up or down. And with the accompaniment tracks, karaoke music you buy, they give you 3 keys anyway. So you got a lot of things you can play with in there with this piece of equipment. If I didn't have this piece of equipment, I would not be up here singing. So it has lengthened the time that I can spend to sing. Solo, if we had a choir, I would surely love to be in the choir. So anyway, Linda, my friend, also built this sound place back there. Now, of course, she built it. It started off, and people have come along since and added to it and done things, wonderful things to it. And that's what we do here. Everybody in here has given something with love to this church. This little church back here where they started has refrigerators, microwaves, things like that in there, was given by us with love. This church is called the church that love built. And that's exactly what we are. Barbara's a founding member. Yes, she is. She didn't start with them, I don't think, out when Peggy did. But you came in over here, didn't you? You helped with the board and got all the bylaws and got all that set up. That takes a lot of work and a lot of love and dedication. She's been doing prayer, healing prayer work for every Monday night, 30 years. Not quite 30 years, but it was in this little building back here until COVID, until some things got in the little building back here that I don't know if our healers are going to come back or not, but let's ask that they do so we can get our healing back in this church. We have wonderful healers, and they bless us with their presence, as every one of us bless each other here with our presence. Wednesday nights, that presence is felt. Everyone in here giving to each other and giving out to the universe. With the meditative yoga prior to, it just holds that energy and builds that energy up, and it's just a wonderful place to be. So if you're yearning for something during the middle of the week, like they used to have prayer meeting, I'd go to prayer meeting and never understood why they didn't pray. They preached just like they did on Sunday. But this is a prayer meditative. It's what you want. We don't tell you what to do. You get to choose. You get to talk with your spirit. Talk in spirit. I didn't mean to say all that. Anyway, there's honey in the rock. We're hoping. We're praying. We're asking. We're giving. Honey. It was working. Yep, it was working. Test, test. That's good. It's okay. Appreciate it, though. Appreciate it. But I've got it. Damn, why don't you let her sing? We're gonna see if this works, but don't worry about it. Shh. It don't work. We're gonna give it one more try. One more try. It don't look like it's gonna work. Yeah. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock. Oh, praying for a miracle, thirsty for the living word. Only you can satisfy. Oh, sweetness at the mercy seat. Taste it, it's not hard to see. Only you can satisfy. There's honey in the rock. Oh, there's honey in the rock. Oh, freedom where the Spirit is, bounty in the wilderness. You will always satisfy. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna in the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock, purpose in the plan, power in the blood, healing in your hand. Started flowing when you said it is done. Everything you need's enough. There's honey in the rock. Oh yeah, I keep on looking, I keep finding, you keep giving, keep providing. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. I keep praying and you keep moving. I keep praising and you keep proving. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. Oh, how sweet it is. Trust in you, Spirit. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Spirit. Oh, how sweet it is. Trust in you, Spirit.
Okay, all right. I hope you feel that presence here today. Um, I brought a lot of things that some people think I don't read just because I've been dyslexic all my life until a few years ago. I realized that when I'm by myself, things stay together. But when I get the least bit nervous, the pages, the stuff, jumps around. This is one of the best books if you really want to me, when got into unity. This is one I had and I've kind of worn it out and I've had 3 or 4 since then, but I brought my original. I probably had this for 40 years. It's got every word that place and thing, I would say most everything in the Bible, cities, people, all kinds of things in here. If you want to know what a mystic in the stillness of his heart began to feel and share when he had been studying under other mystics all over the world. And Fillmore came up with this, the co-founder of Unity. So I've read that for many years off and on. And God at times brings things back to my memory. And of course, I love the Bible. And I have more than just a King James Bible, I realize. So I have the King James and the other. And you can go in many, many places and find the word of the divine wisdom. So it's not about a certain path. I discovered this years ago. Actually, I'm a president of the New Thought Ministry in North Carolina. A lot of things I do, people don't even know about. But when I went to a convention in Phoenix, Arizona, I saw this. Many paths, one God. My older sister, when she saw that, when was in the old church, she said, I'll never go back. There's only one path. There's only one way. And to God. And she doesn't care for what I do, evidently. But that's okay. That's okay. We're here to love everybody. That's the message that we're trying to learn right now. And this is where we're trying to break through. Intellect is fabulous. I would love to be a genius and know every single thing and all these books that are around that are spiritual books. Oh, and it'd make my heart sing because I never got to that place. Never went to college. I knew I wouldn't pass. But God's opened doors, and it'll open doors for you. When I tell you my stories, I'm not telling you my stories because of poor me. The reason things come up for me is because you've been there. And what I learned through Jonah. Am I on the right person? Jonah, keep me with the whale. Jonah, did y'all read the 3 books? There's only 3 chapters of Jonah if you want to go any Bible and look at it. This man was called, Jonah was called by God. To me, he was very intellectual. He'd been raised in knowing about cause and effect, and he knew about God, and he knew he was right on everything. But God called him and said, go to Nineveh. I want you to go down to Nineveh, a lower vibration frequency. It was a town representing low frequency. He said, I want you to go there and talk to people and tell them, they need to repent. They have forgotten, they don't know about God. They're an innocent people. They know about cause and effect. They know about they'll reap what they sow, but they know about, and to put it in some of your karma, they know about karma. You reap what you sow, or if you want to call it sin, it's about the same thing, that whatever you do against the laws of God, which are the commandments, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not harm your neighbor, all the 10 commandments. But the greatest one is love, is what Jesus said. He said, I can take all the 10 commandments for you. When he came teaching and really telling people the truth, he said, I can take all of them, put them in one. Love. Because if you love your fellow man, you won't be stealing from him or her. If you love them, you won't be killing. If you love, you won't be trying to seduce their partner. If you love them, you won't do all these things. And that's what the 10 Commandments is just telling you. It's just like natural things, If we don't want to get sick, we've been wearing masks and washing our hands. It's just stuff we should know. Well, he knew about this. And he knew, Jonah knew that there was a God. And he knew of karma, and he knew reaping what you sow, but he also knew something maybe about grace. Grace. I'm not sure we've really gotten grace yet. Grace is about no matter what, all the past can be forgiven. That's a hard one to accept for a lot of people. We can go there today. I'll watch the clock, try to take you there fast. But he was told to go down to Nineveh and tell these people, if they didn't change their ways, if they continued in just satisfying the flesh and looking for material things and for fleshly satisfaction, that they were going to be destroyed. That the town would be destroyed and the people in it. They were going into destruction. And so he said, go and tell these people, because if they repent, what's repentance? Okay. It's turning around and going the different direction. Going the opposite direction. Now that's in the Revealing Word. If you want to get that, that's another book that Unity has. Revealing Word has all the little words like sin or anything else you think about just a word you want to look up and see what it means metaphysically. So that means to turn, go into a different direction. So if they'll leave their old ways behind, and many of us know what we're talking about, old ways of the past, things we've done that we know not to do, or we feel bad in doing, but we do them anyway, those kind of things. When we leave them behind, and I know when get caught into drugs and alcoholism and stuff like that, that's difficult to do. But that's where my grace is sufficient. When you come to that place that you truly are wanting to give it up and things begin to happen, you start staying away from those lower vibrations, because what happens to so many people is once you turn loose of drugs or alcohol or whatever that habit that won't set you free, you find yourself going back into that same frequency of same old friends. Oh, same old restaurant, same old bar, same old group of people. And it's tempting. You find yourself getting into that place. And so he was asked to go into Nineveh and tell these people so they wouldn't meet their destruction. Because it's pain, it's sorrowful, it's misery when you're in those places. And you don't have to go through this. So here, okay, Jonah decided, I don't want to face this. I don't want to do that. Heck, everything's right with me, I think he felt. No, I'm just telling you what I feel. I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to leave. I'm going down to the Mediterranean coast. I'm going down to Tarsha. I'm going down there and I'm just going to relax. But that feeling kept coming. This is a beautiful place I'm in. Why should I worry about somebody down in Nineveh? No, I don't. They're wicked people. They deserve what they get. They deserve it. They deserve it. They did it their own self. They're doing it all. Let's forget them. But that kept going on. So he got on a boat, and here he's sailing off on this boat. He thought, I'll just go have a wonderful day, wonderful life. I'm going to forget that. And a huge storm came up. A huge storm came up. Well, he could care less. He was down in the lower parts, just snoozing away. And here all the sailors and all the men on the deck was just, they didn't know what to do. They hadn't been in a storm like this, and they don't know when and where. It was just like a tornado or a hurricane or whatever. It's there, and it's going to destroy them all. And so they go down and wake Jonah up and say, get up here. If you have some kind of God, start praying to your God. We're going to have to do whatever. We're going to pull cards, pull ruins, do everything. We've got to find out what in the world's going on here. Now, we've never been in this situation before, and it's so bad. Somebody must have brought this energy on board. Somebody brought this into our space. Now, who is it? So somehow they were drawing lots, and guess what? Jonah. I think you're the culprit that brought this in. Things were pretty harmonious when we were at sea until today. We've never seen it like this. So he said, yeah, I feel like it's me. I feel like I'm the one that brought this negative energy to us, because I'm running from God. What God? My God. The God that created the ocean, the God that created this world. Oh my gosh, you've stirred up the ocean God? Yeah. Well, yeah, we better do something about it. What do you think we need to do? He said, well, you could throw me overboard. And they said, no, that's not who we are. We don't want to throw you overboard. Then we'd have to live with the guilt of what we've done. We don't want to do that. But the stronger the storm came, they decided, well, we don't have anything else to do but to throw you overboard. So they pick him up, he goes, into the water he goes, and it starts to be still. I feel like I'm going somewhere else with this here. Has your life been moving around pretty simple sometimes? But people come into your life and you love them with all your heart. You begin to really care for them. And you want the very best for them. It may be a family member that's in your life, a friend, a neighbor, and they come to you and they get on board with you. and they start telling you every negative thing about what's going on, and you're hurting so, and you want to help them so much that you're doing everything that you can. And the more you listen, the more you start thinking about how things have been bad for you. And before long, all you're thinking is negative thoughts, and you're going along with their negative thoughts, but you want to help them, but you don't know how to help them. And until you come to that place of realizing, I'm not in control of all this, and I'm going down under too. I'm getting in this ocean of emotion with you, because I love you and I don't want to walk away from you. I don't want to throw you out of my life. Really, I don't. But it comes to you. They're walking through that space to learn something, just as you're walking through a space trying to learn something too. On every path, everything that comes your way, be it good or bad, it's a lesson for all of us. And how, just like an alcoholic or someone in drugs, you're going to have to, at times, when you're going down, 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 and can't get out of that energy, you're going to have to kind of walk away from it. You're going to have to cut that cord and say, not my will, but thine be done. For the highest and best for that person, if it's your son or daughter and they're sleeping out there under that bridge, you have to say, God, I can't do anymore. I've done everything I can do. I've given everything I can give, but I can't give anymore, Lord. It's taken me under with it. No matter what that friend is or what, no matter how much you love them, sometimes you have to leave it behind or turn it loose. Do you know what I'm talking about, people? Have you ever been in that place? But just like the men in the boat, you feel guilty. You feel guilty when you do it. But grace is there to help you rise above and say, no, God can handle it. It's their path. They can overcome it as they look to something deeper within them. The path is for all of us to see the light. And that's what's happening right now. That's why everything is so dark. But right now we've moved into a moon last night, that in the darkness, it's going to start shining light. It's symbology to me. It's symbology saying the light is coming even in the darkness. You're going to begin to see things that you've never seen before, that is so gross and heart tearing your heart apart, that you're thinking, how can this be? And when you find out and see these things, you're going to think just like Jonah did. Some people don't need to be forgiven. Do you hear what I'm saying? But that's the way Jonah felt. You're going to go through it to find out what you're made of, what I'm made of. Can we step back and love people just as they are and let them go through what they're going through until they wake up? But Jonah found himself in the belly of, it's not a whale. The Bible says, I checked it out in 2 different, it's a belly of a fish, you know. But what that to me was saying yesterday when I read it is he was thrown out in the emotion of the ocean of emotions, negative emotions. But his negative thought forms were so big that he was still inside his own self. Can you feel what I'm saying? He was still in there thinking with his own stinking thinking, because once he was left alone without the people around him to try to rescue him, they couldn't rescue him from where he was at in consciousness. This is about the evolutionary process of our consciousness. Couldn't rescue him in this stuff. So there he was, and he realizes being away from people and everything and not doing what I know is right to do, that you're calling me to do, God, I can't stand the stench of it, the stinking thinking. Remember, there was dead fish and everything inside that, the symbology of it. That's inside of us when we get that low and people are forsaking us because it can't deal with us anymore. If we're on that lower path and they've turned us loose. Can you feel what I'm saying? So God hears his prayer because he's saying, he was telling God, I'll do anything. I'll go to Nineveh and I'll tell them what you tell me to go tell them. So the fish vomited him out. There he was on some dry land. So he goes to Nineveh. And like I started off, I think these people were really innocent people. They didn't really know right from wrong. It's just they don't live their left hand from their right hand. They just know about the material world. They know about satisfying the flesh. But he comes and tells them about a God, a forgiving God, a God that is saying you've become so materialistic, so far from the pure states of life, of love and peace and compassion and joy and understanding. You don't seem to have that anymore, but it's within you. And got a tap on my shoulder. The thing that go back to Jonah and the whale. When he was going to Tarshish, Tarshish represents the intellect. Look it up in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, okay? It represents the intellect. And the reason that Jonah couldn't get to that place of love and understanding is the intellect. When you're just searching for truth from the intellect, you're searching for reason. You're searching for human understanding. You're trying to make sense of something that is spiritual, and you can't make sense of it. And what it's missing in the intellect, when you get so deep engrossed in intellect, it's missing compassion. It's missing understanding. It's missing love, divine love, and joy. It's missing peace. When you get so deep in it, and that's all you know, and you can't find that place from the heart. You can't find the place to forgive. Can I hear what Spirit is saying? I'm asking. Intellect needs to be woven together with peace and love and joy, compassion, understanding. This is why we walk through all the valleys and all these shadows. I was wondering, I was raised just like Jonah, a little girl that knew truth, knew Bible, all those things, but it takes coming to love. It takes walking through the hardships of life to understand another person. I know what it's like to eat pinto beans and salad greens or something of that nature 5-6 days a week, and maybe get some meat on a Sunday. I know what it's like. I can go through all that, but you know where I'm going with that. Not to have physical things, to experience heartbreak, to experience, all these things, sicknesses and diseases of people that you love, die, all these things. I walk through so much, and you have too, so I can have compassion, so I can have understanding. And this is for you too. Because sometimes you might say, well, I'm going through this. You're going through it to get to the other side. You're going through it to get to the other side. You've gotten through so many things, each and every one of you, that you never thought you'd get through. I want to die if he leaves me. I can't live without her. You ever been there with some relationship? Oh gosh, my job. I don't know what I'll do. You got a better one, didn't you? That's going through things to find out what it's like. Jack Olin, one of the hugest churches, the largest unity churches I think it's ever been. He was an alcoholic. People came in by droves because he knew what they went through, and he saw multitudes of lives changed through the power of the living God within them. This is what we're here about, folks. And we're standing right in the middle where we're getting to see The people that, okay, thank you. I'm hearing the fields are white with harvest. It's time for the harvest to come in. It's time for the harvest to come in. But the laborers are few. What are those laborers? You are the laborers. You are the sons and daughters of God, the beings of light that came to this planet right now to be a service, to be, fishermen of men. What in the world does that mean? It's being able to bring the people into that place of joy, that place of light, that place of understanding. It's drawing those people forward, drawing the Christ within them, drawing it out of them so they can see it. That is their salvation, to bring forth the Christ in them. And that's what we're here for, people. Well, I can't get up in front of anybody and speak. You're not asked to do all these things. You're asked to be there with whoever you're with and be the best that you can be. Be compassion, be strength, be power, because you have that in you. When you recognize that, it will begin to flow because you want to give it out so others can receive and magnify the glory of God in them. Can you hear what's being said? So he goes there and he tells the people, this is where we are right now. We can be there and begin to tell the people, begin to share with the people in love, not trying to force feed them like your mom and daddy used to do to you. Remember that? You got to go to church. You got to do this. You got to believe this. Oh, there's only one way, and this is my way. Whatever you've been taught, you can't vary. You can't do that. This is not a spoon feeding anybody or forcing anything. When they feel your love, the love will lead and guide and teach. The Holy Spirit will lead and guide and teach them. It's not up to us to do it. So you just be there. But he went there and he told them what God had to say. Repent, turn around. Okay, they did. They listened. And guess what they did? They said, okay, we just didn't know there was a higher way. We didn't know there was a place of peace. We didn't know what all we were doing was wrong. We didn't recognize that. And the king said, let's fast and pray and seek the presence of this God, the creator of all life, and change our ways. Let's fast and pray for 3 days, I believe it was. The symbol here is they gave up everything that was unlike love and peace. They gave up everything that would harm anyone else or criticize anyone else. They said they didn't even feed and give water to the animals, nor to themselves. They put on sackcloth and ashes, what I'm hearing. When sackcloth and ashes brought in to an experience, it's when everything you're allowed to be the lowest, just go down to where everything is being taken out of you and everything is being burned up by the Holy Spirit. That fire of truth that dissolves everything and anything that's unlike truth and love and power, unlike the Christ that is within you. When we put ourselves in that place and totally are willing to release all things for the highest and best, not just for ourselves, but to be the highest and best for mankind, to be the example. That's all you're asking. God's asking you to do. Be the example for others. Jesus was that example. He was that way shower. And he's still showing us the way through us. So when the people changed, Jonah, feeling like he was the prophet that brought the word of truth to the people, my way is still the only way. And I'm going to go up to my high mountain and I'm going to overlook the town. I'm going to see the wrath of God hit that place. I'm going to see fire come down from heaven. I'm going to see them be purged. I'm going to see them be destroyed, because I told them in 3 days God would destroy them. If, he forgot he said if they didn't change their ways, evidently. So he gets up on his perch And he sits down and he kind of, dang, gets as hot up here as it is going to be down there, it feels like. The sun's kind of hot. He complained and he complained. You know, I just don't like it here, but I want to see it. I'm not going to go back home. I want to see them burn. They deserve it. You know, they deserve. Do you know all the things that they've been doing? You know the things they've been saying? Oh, these are wicked people. Hey, you don't have any of those in your life, though, do you? That you've ever thought that? This time right now is a good time to bring that up for us, you know, the way everybody's divided. You know, you or Jonah sitting up here, they're going to get it. I can't wait to see them do it, you know. Any of you thought something like that? Yeah. Because we think the ego self thinks it's right. His ego thought he was right. He'd rather be dead than be wrong. So God decided, well, I'll bless this fella anyway. So there was a plant that grew up and it had a gourd that came on it. Oh, good. I can sit down here under this and I can get in a little shade. It doesn't have to be so hot here. I can sit here and rest a while I see them burn. So the night came. Well, tomorrow they're going to burn. Yeah. Because I told them so. I told them so. I'm always right. You know, my way's always right. And lo and behold, God sent this little worm. And he chewed up the vine. The big old gourd knocked him in the head. Sometimes we have to be knocked in the head to wake up. What that gourd was, it was a healing ointment that represented the Holy Spirit that was hovering over him, giving him shade in the time of trouble. He didn't recognize that. It's the oil that's above us, the Spirit that's right around us, ready to just pour down over us and give us wisdom and knowledge and love and peace. If we receive it without having hate, anger, resentment, ego, self, bigger than Texas, when all that is resolved, the Spirit of truth is right here for us, folks. But we've been taught that you can't, in most religions, you're taught that hate, anger, jealousy, all that can't enter the kingdom of God or these higher places. What in the world are we thinking when we think we're going to have all these wonderful gifts of the divine and still live in those places? Is that making any sense? So it's up to us as individuals to choose to work on those places in us and see, I don't need to hate my fellow man or somebody that doesn't see everything the way I see it. Because in time, when their time is right, they will be delivered. When our time is right, when we're ready to receive the goodness of God, it's right here for us. And it doesn't have to hit us over the head. It's that sweet, sweet peace that comes to us. This is where humankind is right now. It's up to us to make those steps or not. Our doors are open. If anyone wants to come here, I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care what belief system you are or what belief system you're not. None of that matters. If you're ready to come together in love and in peace and in harmony and grow spiritually together, I'd love to see you and your friends here. Sometimes we think that this place is emptying out and people aren't going to places of community or spirituality. It's emptying out to begin to be filled with people that are truly searching, people that are hungry and thirsting, not for the material things, but for the spiritual things. And I guarantee you, once those spiritual things are rooted and grounded in you, the material things come. They come. I have watched that ever since I was I guess I've seen it off and on since I was a little girl. But my life has been magical financially, to have nothing and turning around and something else is there. Because I trust the Lord with all my heart, with all my soul. And no matter what I'm walking through, that's what Paul said. And I don't speak of some of the things. I get on the verge of telling things that I see in other levels, but I'm like Paul, and many people are, I'm sure. I don't want my ego to get in my way, because I know in other times it has, in other lifetimes. I don't want to go there. I want to go there. Paul said that there was a man that he knew, and I believe he was talking about himself. He said, whether he was in the spirit or out of the spirit, I don't know, whether only God does. He said, but this man went into places and received revelations he can't even tell people about. He doesn't even understand some of it himself. It's so high. But yet, if I tell you things, he said, it could make myself feel, my ego self feel like I'm superior. Or you may think I'm superior, is what he was saying. But he said, I have a thorn in my flesh. I've heard ministers preach on the thorn in the flesh and what it might be. But for me, I feel like deep in my soul, I understand a little bit about it. I have a thorn in my flesh that keeps me humble, that keeps me from having an ego, that keeps me from strutting around like a peacock saying, I've got something better than you. Because we know when you're in that place, you know that you know that you know you don't have 1 ounce more of God than anybody else. Because everybody has the same amount of divinity in them as Jesus Christ had, because he said we did. You have it. You're just not expressing it. I have it, but I'm not expressing it. But we can come to that knowledge and that transformation into that new creature. He said, you must be born again. Being born in spirit. Being born in spirit is when right now we're on this cusp that we talk about natural things. And then when we start to talk about spiritual things, this carnal mind can't understand it at all. It can't get it. And that's what Paul was saying. But the thorn in my flesh that I'm praying that God would forgive is what he's saying. Is the things I did in the past. Ooh. Now, if you just read Paul and his ministry and how he spread Christianity all around the world, really, what was he talking about? Do you not know that he was standing for the Roman Empire? That he was pressured or he was honored in the things that he did? He killed men, women, and children. He slaughtered them. Why? Because they followed the way. What way? The way that Jesus taught. It was called the way. It wasn't called Christianity. They followed Jesus, who became the Christ. The Christ in him began to be more than just the man Jesus. And Jesus was talking to this to others. It's just like, oh gosh, don't want to go there. It's just like today. Oh no. It's just like today. You do as someone tells you, or you're going to be belittled. You're going to be shunned. You're going to put in jail. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You've got to follow someone else. You have to fire people if they don't do what you want them to do. You have to tell lies to these people. You have to make people believe the truth we're telling you is the total truth of everything. This energy is out there, folks. And don't think that when you're standing strong right where you are, if you're offered wealth and power, that you'll turn it down. The majority of people can't go through that kind of trial. They yield to temptation. And this is where we are standing right here, not just in a certain area, but in the world. Does it resonate at all with you? not against anyone that chooses to keep their position of power and authority. That's what they choose. And to harm someone else in the process, that's what they choose. We've chosen those paths before. There is a place that we can come to, there is, that we can be careful that you can lose your soul. I couldn't understand it till this second. The losing of the soul is to begin to go in such separation from the divine of your heart that you have no compassion whatsoever for humanity or anything on this planet. You have no true love for anything other than the things of the flesh and the things of the world. When you get in that place that you would do anything to your fellow man, there's where you're going into such deep, deep darkness that you're losing that soul essence, energy of light itself. Do you hear what I'm saying? But even at that, we don't need to judge, because cause and effect will still be there, but grace is there. I'm recalling my little son, that passed away when he was 20 years old in a car accident, but he was probably about 4. And he came to me and he says, Mommy, he said, God loves everybody, doesn't he? I said, yes, sure does. He said, yeah. He said, you know what? If the devil comes to him and says, hey, God, I'm not going to be mean anymore. I'm going to stop doing that. I feel so bad about all the things I did. And he said, God would forgive him, wouldn't he? Back then, I wanted to say, probably no, but I didn't from him. But forgive Satan, that demonic energy. But you know, right now, when I hear that little voice in my head, I know he was right. I know he's right. But I don't know when or if those that are in that space, when they'll be able to give it up or not, ever. I don't know. I don't know that. But I can't hate them. I can't hate them. So I'm not sure that I covered everything that wants to be said, but it's about 12 o'clock. And I know some people, Elizabeth, you're late. So I'm in the world, but then I get out here and I forget it. I could talk all day and all night. I'm thinking about bringing the Relax Shack back. We used to have those in the evening sometime. And just sit around and just talk, get on the subject and talk and ask questions. Ask me. Because I used to be, you asked me a question, I had to stand in front of anybody. I'm terrified. Don't ever ask me anything. But when I get in this feeling of this flow of spirit, you can ask me anything. It will either come or I'm willing to say. I don't have an ego and try to make up something. I tell you what comes through my heart. But I would like to do something like that again. If you'd like to do that, would you? You would? And if you would, maybe we'll do it on a Sunday afternoon, so you don't have to come in the dark. And we'll do that and leave. So I will do that maybe once a month, start something like that, so we can actually share together, because it's not about one person. It's not. It's about we're all in this together. We're all here together. And when I was in another field, someone was said, don't teach people all you know. Say what? No, you want to be the best in your field. If you teach them, they may be above you someday. That's what I want. That's what I want. You know, we're here to help others go further than we've gone. To show our talents and our gifts or whatever, to come together and to help draw them forth so they can they're the ones it's going to take our place after we leave here. We're here to make this world a better place. I'm hearing that song, Deb, in the back of my head, for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If we care enough for the living, let's make a better place for you and for me. How about it? You want to get together and make that better place? Well, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Thank those that have listened today. I hope it makes a difference. I'll have to process what I said and work on some of this stuff. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We're looking at also maybe the first part of November. Would you like to have a gratitude luncheon? I'm thinking of a gratitude luncheon is to come together because I'm so grateful that we've had the doors open for these past couple of years. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So if you want to bring some sandwiches and finger foods, if you want to do that, we'll get out a date the first or second Sunday in November, if that's okay with you. And we'll come together and fellowship. Maybe we'll have the relaxed chat then. Who knows? We'll just let Spirit be a guide. But with that, we'll supply your water and your tea and the utensils and stuff. If you want to do that, let's get prepared to do something like that. And if you want to bring some desserts or something to share with each other, a little more stuff, that will be fine. Tell your friends, your loved ones to come and be with us to put that down. And then we can start off the holidays. But let's make this whole month, well, even from now, let every day be a day of gratitude. I'm so grateful you're in my life. I truly am. And grateful for each and every one that's out there listening or will be listening. Thank you for everything that you've given to keep these doors open. The lights on. It's been magnificent. So many places have closed, but we haven't. And I don't see that coming about. I see that love, this is a place that love built. And it's a place that will keep on flowing and growing. So I don't even think we have ushers today. Do we do? Well, hallelujah. And I wanted to let you know too that Candy will be speaking next Sunday because Tony and I are going to take a break. And I don't see my donation. It's somewhere here, honest. Oh, here it is. If you'd like to bless it with me with divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Let's just close our eyes. Let me just give me a few more minutes here, folks. I feel like I need to read the scripture that we were going to use today, where Paul had talked about everything that was going on that he felt so unworthy. And he said, and he turned around and said, but God said this unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. What he was telling Paul, that when you're going through those weak places and wrestling with those things of the past, that his grace is sufficient to take you into that place of releasing all the past, releasing all the guilt and shame, and being that which you came to be. Let's just pause for a moment, take a deep breath, relax, as I share with you the daily word. May we share the peace this day that is within our heart. For there's no better way to experience the peace that lives inside of us than to practice it daily. Daily pause from whatever you're doing and take time to rest in your heart space. The peace you feel in your heart is a gift that God gives us, a gift that expresses as a calm, bearing kindness and patient in all situations. We are ambassadors of peace, as these expressions of tranquility blessed all those that we encounter to go within and discover it for themselves. For peaceful feelings spring from your awareness of God's connection with you, which extends to feelings of kindness and kinship with all other living beings. Let us draw from this great source, this expanding well in our hearts, and be refreshed and replenished each and every day in peace. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give as the world gives, said Jesus. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. I am with you always. Thank you, God. If the ushers would please come forth. If anybody ever needs to leave, that's fine. If you have to get up and go somewhere, I don't take offense. Let's bless it together. I give thanks for this visible evidence of the bounty of God. I send it forth with love and joy to do its perfect work. Thank you, God. If you'd like to come together and hold hands or not. What, honey? Oh, she wants me to go to the back. I used to stand back. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll figure this out. Okay. All right. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All is well, folks.